Hi to all. In this video, as you can see, we'll be discussing the homework answers from the practice workbook. That's chapter 4, lesson 1. So if you have not done the homework, please do not watch this video, as it's of no use watching the video just without doing the homework. And if you still have the idea of doing the homework, bring your book, do the question at least one by one, and you can check it along with the video. So you do one question, then check the answer. Do the second question, then check the answer, as just watching the video is not going to benefit you in any way, but unless you practice doing the questions. All right, let's get into the questions. Apply the transformation M to the polygon with the given vertices. Identify and describe the transformation. Now, compared to the classwork questions, that's what we have discussed in the previous two videos, these questions are much easier because they have already given you the graph and already they have graphed the pre-image for you. You just need to find the new coordinates and find the graph the image, and then you need to say what kind of transformation has taken place. That's all. So we don't need to graph the pre-image, it's already done. So here the rule says xy, x minus 2, y plus 3. So which means for the value of x, you have to minus 2. From the value of y, you have to add 3. Right? You have to add 3 to y and minus 2 from x. Now what kind of transformation is shown here? For which transformation do we minus or plus? The only transformation we add or subtract is for translation. So from this itself, you can see it's translation, 2 units to the left and 3 units up. These rules all have been taught in the video. So because if it's moving to the left, it will be minus from x. If it's moving to the right, it will be plus from x. For detailed explanation, definitely you need to watch those videos. All right, so let's go ahead and check what kind of transformation has taken place and where the new image is going to be. All right, these are the coordinates we have: negative 1, 3, negative 2, 1. For B, it's 2, negative 1, and for C, it's 2, negative 4. And the rule says x minus 2, which means from the values of x, you need to keep subtracting 2. So this is x. So from here, you will subtract 2. So minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. And for the value of y, you will add 3. So for all the values of x, add 3. And then let's write the new coordinates. So for A, for the image, it's going to be negative 1 and negative 2 will give me a negative 3. I'm calculating it this way. Negative 1, negative 2 will give me negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 will give us a 0. So for the coordinate for B is going to be 2 minus 2 is again a 0. Negative 1 plus 3 is going to give me a 2. And then for C, 2 minus 2 is going to give you a 0. Minus 4 plus 3 will give me a negative 1. So these are the new coordinates we have for the image. So let's graph them. A prime, that's negative 3 and 0. So negative 3 and 0 is here. Then 0 and 2, that's here. And 0 and negative 1, that's here. So join the 3 points. So just join them. So as you can see, that was just a translation, just a moving of the picture aside, a slide of the picture, you can call it, right? So this is going to be the image, this is the pre-image. So identify and describe the transformation. It's a translation of xy, and that we don't need to find, it's already given in the question for us. We just need to write the scale factor, that's all. All right, so this is the transformation done for question number 1. It's easy compared to what we have done. You have already done difficult questions than this, so definitely this is going to be an easy one. All right, so here the transformation given is xy should change into negative xy. So the x will turn into a negative 1 and the y will remain the same. So what kind of transformation has been taken place here? If you are not familiar with the transformations, definitely you need to study that table. Only then, as soon as you look at the transformation rule, you will understand what kind of transformation has taken place. Okay, now first let me write down the new coordinates. So that's going to be already the pre-image is done. So we don't need to do anything for that. So let's find out for P. Now they said minus x, which means here it's already minus. So minus means minus will give us a plus. Minus into minus will give us a plus. So if it is a minus number, that turns into a positive one, and the y remains the same. We don't change the y. That's what the rule says. Okay. Then for Q, it's -2. So it's literally like you're multiplying a negative sign with a negative sign. So that will give you a +2, but the y remains same. Then for R, now it's 1. X is 1, which means it will change into a negative. That's going to be -1, -2. So now let's graph these. P prime is going to be 1, 2. So 1, 2 is here. Q is going to be 2 and -3. And R is going to be -1 and -2. So -1 is here, -2 is here. So join them, take up a thicker one. All right, so what do you think has happened here? It is not a rotation, as the figure has not rotated, right? But it is something which is familiar for you. So from the coordinates are in the same place, only the negative x has become negative, which means it is something to do with the y. When does the x become negative? X becomes negative when there is a reflection along the y-axis, then the x becomes negative. So the translation here is a reflection across which axis? Across the y-axis. Now to confirm this, look at this point. This is the point of the pre-image. So when it has been reflected in this y axis here, this is the y-axis. So the point came to this side. Same here. This is the pre-image. So when it has been reflected onto the, in y-axis, that's like if you place a mirror here, where does this point come? It comes here. So that's why you call this a reflection across the y-axis. So from this rule itself, you can find out it's a reflection, as the coordinates stay the same, but the x becomes negative. So if it's a reflection in y-axis, the x becomes negative. If it was a reflection across the x-axis, the y will become negative. Okay, let's move on to another question here. XY, Y, negative X. Totally the places have flipped. So you need to understand when the places have flipped, that means something is going to flip around. So that means that's something to do with rotation. Let's find out. Okay, let's write down the coordinates for the image. So they said Y minus X. So Y means Y comes in place of X here, and then minus X. Minus X means it is already minus here, x is already minus, so minus into minus, that will become positive. And then for h, it's -2 and 3. So what takes the place of, first you have to write the value of y, so that stays 3. And what happens to the x? It becomes a +2, because the rule says negative x, the next is x is already negative, so it's like negative multiplied by negative, same as how we did the previous one. J is going to be -1, because y stays first, and -2 is x. So negative into negative, that will give us a +2. Then the next one is -4 and -1. That's k. All right. So negative, the y stays same. That's -1 stays in that place. That comes first, and then x is -4, but then you need to multiply it with the negative sign. So negative into negative, again it will give us a positive one. So let's plot these, graph these points and check what has happened here. So this says 3 and 4. So basically, so there's 1, 2, 3, it's somewhere here. 3 and 4 is going to be somewhere here, as the graph given is not enough, so your picture will be somewhere outside. Then 3 and 2, that's going to be here. If you want, in your book you can draw another equal column and graph it. -1 and 2, so -1 here, 2 is here, and then -1 and 4, that's here. So let me join them. So once you join them, you will find a figure like this. So what do you think has happened to the pre-image? Pre-image was GHJK. Now here, I forgot to name this points, so you need to name it. This is going to be G prime, it's already there. Okay, so 3, 2, 3, 2, this is H, and this is J, and this is K. So as you can see, it is a rotation, right? This figure has come to this side. Now it has moved to this side. One thing is, it is rotation for sure. Okay, it has rotated. Now you need to give the degrees and in which side. I mean, you have to give the degrees. Now, is it a 180 degree or is it a 90 degree? It is 90. In the explanation video, I told you that if it was for 180, it will leave one quadrant and go to the next one. But here they are together, almost like the next quadrant. So if they are in the next quadrant, means it's going to be 90 degrees. Now, is it clockwise or counterclockwise? This has moved to this. So which direction is this? This is clockwise direction, because that's the same way in which the hands of a clock move. So 90 degrees clockwise. So rotation about the origin, but 90 degrees clockwise. Hopefully you understood. Yes, you will. You can understand. Fine. This one. Now here it is a dilation. As you can see, the key factor, the scale factor is given for us here. So 2x, 2y. So these are the coordinates. So let's find out the new coordinates. So here -2, which means you need to multiply each of them with 2, because that's what this scale says. 2x, that means 2 multiply x and 2 multiply by y. So for each you will do that. So 2 multiplied by -2 will give us -4. 2 2's will give us 4. That's the first coordinate. Then for f, it's going to be a triangle, right? So it's going to be 2, 2, and G prime is going to be 4, 4. Okay, let's draw the image now. So -4 and 4, this is E prime, and F is 2 and 2. F. So in fact, it's the same here coordinate. This one, the same one. The next one is 4 and 4. So let's join the points now. So this is the pre-image and this is the image. As you can see, it is an enlarged one. So that's why dilation has two parts. Either it enlarges or it reduces. It reduces the size. So this is a bigger size. So easy, we can find out the transformation. That is dilation with, what is the scale factor? It's already given in the question. You just need to write it down. 2x, 2y, which means it's twice. This triangle has increased its size twice. So if this triangle increases its size twice, this is how the triangle will be. Okay, let's move on to this question now. Determine whether the polygons with the given vertices are congruent. Now they are very easy, as you don't need to do anything. You just need to look at the picture and find out whether they are congruent. If they are congruent, you have to say which transformation is used and with which scale. Fine. Now, do they look the same? Yes, they do. So that means they are congruent. So what do you say? You need to say this is a five-sided figure. So figure A, B, C, D, E and PQRST are congruent and can be mapped by using, what is the transformation used? It is just a translation. It has just slided across, that's all. By using translation. Okay, now we need to find the key, the scale for translation, how it has it translated. So how are you going to find out what is the scale? Just you take any corresponding point. So the corresponding point to P is B, or the corresponding point to Q is the corresponding point to B is A, the corresponding point to Q is B. So you move anywhere but for a similar one. So let me move S to D. Okay, so from S I need to move how many units down? I need to move 2 units down. So I'm moving 2 down, and then across, how many do I need to move across? Okay, rather to make it more easier for you, let me move it the other way around. Rather than moving from PQRST, let me move from ABCDE, because that's the pre-image. So from the pre-image point D, I'm going to point S, because the corresponding point to point D is point S. So let me move right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means I moved to the right 6 units, and then 1, 2. So I have moved up 2 units. So how am I going to write the translation now? I need to write it as XY has been translated as X. Is it going to be plus or minus when we move to the right? It's going to be plus. So X plus 6 and so it should be a comma. X plus 6 and Y plus 2 or minus 2? It's going to be plus 2, because we are moving up. We are moving to the right, plus, moving to the left, minus, moving up, plus, moving down, minus. So here both of them have plus, because we are moved to the right as well as we are moving up. So if you're moving up, you add to the Y. If you're moving down, you subtract from Y. If you're moving to the right, you add to X. If you're moving to the left, you subtract from X. Okay, so this is what you needed to write. Let's look at the next question. Already you can see that it is a dilation, right? PQR. Now P, where is P? P is here, PQR. So this is the pre-image. The bigger one is the pre-image and the smaller one is the new one. That's JKL. JKL is the image. So as you can see, it's a dilation. Now dilation means it has become smaller. This image, pre-image, which is PQR, has become smaller, JKL, which means it has reduced its size. So reduced its size means you need to find the scale factor. So how are you going to find the scale factor? Just look at any two coordinates here. It's 4 and 2, 4 and 2. How did the 4 become 2? Either you need to minus 2 or you need to divide by 2. Now if it is minus 2, you need to remove 2 from everywhere and check whether you are getting the answer right. So for example, let me take this 4, 4. Okay, and then 2, 2. Now if you say it is minus 2, minus 2, let's take one more coordinate and check whether the rule is correct or not. So this is going to be negative 1 and 3. Now, if I subtract negative 2, will I get negative 1? If for this, maybe negative 2 is right, but for this, it doesn't work. So then we need to look at another operation. Like if it's not minus, what is the opposite? After minus, it can only be dividing. So let's check. Let's divide this by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Let's check whether that rule applies for the other coordinates too. So 2, negative 2 divided by 2, will that give you negative 1? Yes. 6 divided by 2, will that give you 3? Yes. So something to do with negative 2. Now we are going to divide the value of x with 2. Okay, but as you know, you have to write the scale factor in this format. Okay, now if x is here, can I write the scale factor in this way? Because there should be a number here. The same example, the same type of question was also explained in the previous video. So as I need to have a number here, I need to write the 2 divided by 2. Divided by 2 means what? Half, right? So I replace the k with half x. So half multiplied by x. So the rule remains the same. Half multiplied by 4 will give you 2. Half multiplied by negative 2 will give you negative 1. It's the same rule. But rather, because we need to give the value for k, instead of writing x divided by k, we say half multiplied by x. So your scale factor is going to be like this. Now, let's write what kind of transformation has taken place. The transformation is dilation with scale factor what was the scale factor? Half and center 0 0. So you can write it like this, or scale factor you can show this also, no problem. So if you have written dilation with scale factor half x half y and center 0 0, that's perfectly fine. Else you can simply say dilation with scale factor half and center 0 0. So yes, only the dilation part is little difficult. Other than that, the rotation, reflection and the translation are super easy. Only the dilation takes a bit of practice, that too if it was like this. Else if it was multiplying, you would have just done it easily. All right, so hopefully you have understood. If you have not understood, you can ask the questions anytime you want to, but not to repeat the lesson, as the videos are there. You can watch how many times you want to. You can keep watching the videos. So till we meet in another video, keep practicing math.